Welcome back, everybody. Let's continue in Talmud Esher Sefirot, Chelek Aleph, Perek Bet, Inyan Aleph, Ot Bet. We're on the subject of the Kav, and I'm just going to continue from our previous class where we were discussing the Chidush Tzura of the desire to receive, the new form of the Ratzon Lekabel that didn't exist before, but rather it's created as something new. It's called a Chidush. But the light of Ein Sof, which clothes itself in this vessel, is not new. Rather, it always existed and it comes from something. The vessel is something from nothing, while the light is something from something. Now let's get a little bit deeper. What happens when the light is clothed in the vessel? We know that the light is not new. It's never regarded as something new. Rather, it's the vessel's experience of the light that can change and can be regarded as something new. One day I feel a certain mood. Another day I change. I feel a different way. So my essence is not changing. My essence is the same essence. But the way I interact with the world and the way I experience the light differs day by day. The light of God never changes. God never changes. But my experience of God changes. I am growing. I'm learning how to connect to God. So every day I go through a change. My form changes. Literally. Not just spiritually, like my desires change. Because we already spoke last class that a form in spirituality is not referring to a physical form. It's referring to whatever desire it is you have. And yes, of course, our desires change from day to day. One day, I desire to wear one type of shirt. Another day, I choose to wear a different shirt. My desires change. One day I feel good, one day I feel bad. But nevertheless, God is the same. Nothing ever changed in reality. Only my experience changed. My perception is what shapes my reality. So as I was saying, not only the spiritual form changes day by day, but physically, you also change. Your cells die, new ones are created. So literally, you are a physically different person, not only every day, but every moment. Every moment. With every new experience of life, your form changes both spiritually and physically. We're constantly changing. We're constantly being renewed. Because you are not who you were a moment ago. The sun that rose today is not the same sun that will rise tomorrow, and is not the same sun that rose yesterday. And by the way, this whole concept is also connected to the Kabbalistic idea that God is constantly recreating the world every interval of time. At every fraction of time, the world is being recreated. Why? Because God did not create the world and leave. Rather, He is still connected and still engaged in the act of creation right now. Every moment that the world continues to exist means that God is funneling the light, and He is choosing to funnel the light again and again and again for as long as the world exists. So every fraction of time, technically speaking, mystically speaking, the world itself is being recreated. B'kol yom v'yom, Chadesh ma'aseh bereshit. The creation of the world is renewing itself over and over again. Hashem is actively involved in this creation. He is not like a human being who, after he creates something, he can walk away. He walks away and he abandons it. It's not part of him. Hashem's creations are part of him. And therefore, the only way they can exist is if his attention is focused on that creation, because it is from him that the creation receives its vitality. So he doesn't create and abandon. Rather, he creates and recreates at every interval of time. So the light is eternal, but the vessel can change. The creation itself is made of desire to receive. So every single day, the shape of the world is changing. And our experience of the light is changing. But the light itself doesn't change. Now let's jump into Rav Ashlag on this concept. תדע שכל החידושים והשתלשלות המדרגות הנה המה עוסקים רק בערך התפעולתו של הכלי וקבלתו מהאור העליון. All of the new things, like the innovations of the desire to receive, and the chain of levels, the various madrigot that exist, they're all dealing only with the impact that the light has on the vessel and the way that the vessel receives the light. So the light itself, like we said, is never changing, but the vessel changes in its experience of the light. כי זה לבד מקבל השינויים והריבועים. Because it's the vessel alone that experiences this multiplicity of changes. The various changes and the various experiences that exist are all, they fall under the category of the vessel. אומנם האור כשהוא לעצמו, but regards to the light, when it's by itself, is found תמיד בבחינת המנוחה המוחלטת. The light is always in a state of rest. Whenever the light's on its own, it's always in a state of rest. נמצא תמיד בבחינת המנוחה המוחלטת. It's called menucha. Menucha, the shoresh of the word menucha is noach. Noach means rest. So the light is in a state of noach, complete and utter rest. בהיותו מתפשט מעצמותו יתברך. Why? Why is the light in a state of complete rest? Because it comes from the essence of God. So since the light comes from the essence of God, therefore it carries the same qualities as the essence of God. One of them being rest, because the essence of God is in a state of rest. That means God never changes. We brought the verse from Mishlei previously, Ani havaya lo shaniti, that I, God, have not changed. Rav Ashlag brought that verse as a proof to show that God doesn't change. והבן זה היטב, ותזכור זה בהמשך כל הלימוד בחוכמה הזאת, בכל מילה ומילה ממש. He says you should understand this deeply, and you should remember this very well in every single word in the continuation of this study. And he adds the word mamash at the end of the sentence, which means literally, to imply that he's not kidding around. He means it. When he says in every word, he means in every word. That we should remember this idea, this principle, that the light is in a state of rest in every single word of the continuation of this study. ולפי המבואר תבין היטב. And according to what has been explained, you should understand the following very well. That האור העליון אינו פוסק ולהאיר lenetzalim afilu lerega. That the upper light doesn't stop shining even for a moment. The light never stops shining. It's always illuminating. It's always in a state of shining. ואינו נופל חס ושלום תחת המקרא והחידושים. And it is not subject to change or innovation. חידוש or שינוי. אלא שהוא במצב המנוחה המוחלטת, rather it's in a state of rest. וכל עניין הצמצום והסתלקות האור האמורים כאן אינם אומרים אלא רק בערך התפעלותו וקבלתו של הכלי. And the whole concept of the tzimtzum, which is the departure of the light, does not apply except in relation to its impact on the vessel. Meaning, the whole concept of the tzimtzum, the contraction of the light, is an experience that the vessel is having. It's not that Ein Sof is experiencing the tzimtzum. Rather, a new world is created where the malchut of Ein Sof is now in a state of tzimtzum. She lacks the light. Malchut is a kli. It's a kli. The light doesn't experience any change. Only the malchut experiences this change. What's the change? The revelation of the desire to receive. The change that occurred with the tzimtzum was that the desire to receive that was inherently contained within the malchut of Ein Sof became revealed. Whereas previously it was concealed because it was fulfilled by the light of Ein Sof. So once the light of Ein Sof was removed, her desire to receive was revealed. And that is the change that takes place, but it's experienced by the vessel and not by the light. Because the light left from the vessel. So who's the one who lacks the light? It's the vessel. The light never lacks anything. The vessel is the one who changes, not the light. So the whole tzimtzum that we've been talking about is in relationship to the vessel. And the way that the vessel is influenced and impacted by the light, the way it reacts to the light, and this vessel that we're talking about is the Nekudayim Sayid. We should remember that the Malchut of Ein Sof, before the Tzimtzum, has multiple names or nicknames. Bechina Dalit of Ein Sof, Malchut of Ein Sof, Nekudayim Sayid of Ein Sof. And even the vessel that's after the Tzimtzum, the way that it is experiencing the light, we still refer to the vessel as Nekudayim Sayid. Both before the Tzimtzum and after the Tzimtzum, we refer to that space, that makom, by the same nickname of Nekudayim Sayid. Although we don't refer to it as Malchut of Ein Sof after the Tzimtzum. Before the Tzimtzum, we refer to the Nekudayim Sayid as Malchut of Ein Sof because it is embedded within the light of Ein Sof before the Tzimtzum. But after the contraction, it's called Malchut HaMetzumtzemet because it's no longer within the light of Ein Sof, rather it's in a contracted state, absent of the light of Ein Sof. Perush. Af al pi שהאור העליון לא פסק מלהאיר, מכל מקום הכלי לא קיבל עתה כלום מהארתו. So even though the light never stops shining, after the Tzimtzum, the vessel stops receiving. The vessel is not able to receive now any more light at all. Does the light shine after the Tzimtzum? It's a trick question, but let's see if you can get it correct. Does the light shine after the Tzimtzum? The answer is yes. According to what we just read right now. If you didn't get it, skip back 20 seconds and re-listen to this. The light never stops shining for even a moment. That means even after the Tzimtzum, the light still shines. However, since we said that the Tzimtzum is an experience of the vessel, not the light, therefore it could be true that the light still shines after the Tzimtzum, and simultaneously, although that's true, the vessel no longer receives the shine. The vessel doesn't feel it anymore because the Tzimtzum applies to the vessel, not to the light. So the light still shines. The light is still here. Melo kol haaretz kevodo. The glory of God fills the land. Even now. Even here. But mikol makom hakli lo kibel ata klum me'arto. But nevertheless, the vessel no longer receives its shine. Mishum, what's the reason? Why doesn't the vessel receive the shine anymore? Shemita et atzma. Because the vessel diminished itself. It diminished its desire to receive that it has. That's what the Tzimtzum was. The Tzimtzum was when the Malchut of Ein Sof chose to restrict her desire to receive, which is in a sense what we call to minimize her desire to receive. And by minimizing the desire to receive, the light departed and she remained in a state of void. So too, the reason we cannot perceive the light of God down here is because we are in a post-contraction state of being. We are in a level of consciousness that's after the contraction. We have to climb our way back to the light. But in the meantime, the reason we don't feel or see the light, if you don't see or feel the light, sometimes we do see and sometimes we do feel the light, but not always. The reason we don't always feel it and the reason we don't always see it is because of the Tzimtzum. The Tzimtzum applies to the vessel, not to the light. And we're in the state of the vessel. We are the vessel. Literally, really, we are the vessel. The you down here, which is the you you're familiar with, is the vessel for the you up there, which is the soul that you're seeking to unite with the you down here. The whole essence of our avodah, our divine service, is to unite the soul with the body. Mashiach will not come until all of the souls have been, actualized in their bodies. They have to be brought down into their bodies. That's what defines your tikkun. The tikkun of a person is to merge their soul with their body. So if you can't see the light, if you can't feel the light always, then you're not in contact with the soul. And you're still in a state of contraction. Like me. Like most people in this world. 99.9% of the people in the world are still in the process of, doing their tikkun. So because of the Tzimtzum, the Bechinat Dalet is no longer able to receive the light. Bechinat Dalet is a Malchut. We learned previously that the Malchut of Ein Sof performed the Tzimtzum, thereby becoming unfit to receive the light. That's why the light left. Because she did the Tzimtzum on the Bechinat Dalet. Just to clarify, the Malchut of Ein Sof contains her own 4 phases. So within the Malchut of Ein Sof, she has her own set of 4 phases, and the Tzimtzum occurred on the 4th phase of the Malchut. Meaning, the Malchut of the Malchut. If you want to be precise. The Malchut of the Malchut of Ein Sof is the specific aspect upon which the Tzimtzum occurred. The Tzimtzum occurred on the Bechinat Dalid of the Nekudam Sayit, the fourth phase of the central point of Ein Sof. And for that reason, she became unfit to receive the light in her fourth phase. We learned that Bechinat Aleph, Bet, and Gimel, the first three phases of the Malchut of Ein Sof, were still Ra'ui to receive the light after the Tzimtzum. Whereas the fourth phase of the Malchut of Ein Sof, which is the aspect upon which the Tzimtzum happened, is Lo Ra'ui. It's not fit to receive the light. And nevertheless, even though the first three phases are still fit after the Tzimtzum, but the fourth phase is not fit, the light departed from all four phases, not just phase 4. Because there's no such thing as partial in the spiritual. So if the light leaves from phase 4, that means that all four phases are unable to receive the light, which means all 10 sefirot of your being, because the four phases correspond to the 10 sefirot. Bechina Shoresh is Keter, Bechina Aleph is Chochma, Bechina Bet is Bina, Bechina Gimel is Chesed, Gevura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yasod, and Bechina Dalet is Malchut. So we learned that all previously. And the reason I'm bringing it up now is to just reiterate the fact that after the Tzimtzum, even though the Tzimtzum only occurred on the fourth phase of Malchut of Ein Sof, nevertheless, the light departed from all four phases, meaning also the first three phases. So when she did the Tzimtzum, she was restricting her fourth phase. However, with regards to the first three phases, Sharatzon lekabel kalosh behen, wherein which the desire to receive is weaker, V'ratzon lehashpia sholet sham yoter, and the desire to give dominates in those three phases more. It's for that reason that the Arizal, that the Rav Ashlag says that the first three phases are ra'ui. They're still fit to receive the light. So all four phases of the Malchut of Ein Sof are stripped from their light. But the first three phases are still fit. So what's the purpose of them being fit? Because the line, as we're going to learn in next class, the kav of light that we've been speaking about in these past 3 episodes is fit to inhabit the first 3 phases of the Malchut of Ein Sof. Of the Malchut HaMetzumtzemet, excuse me. The Malchut HaMetzumtzemet. Because the Malchut of Ein Sof refers to the way that the Malchut existed within the realm of Ein Sof before the Tzimtzum. But Malchut HaMetzumtzemet refers to the way she exists after the Tzimtzum, once the light has been withdrawn. So after the Tzimtzum, the light departs from all 4 phases, not just from the 4th phase. And since the first 3 phases of the Malchut HaMetzumtzemet are still Ra'ui, the Kav that extends from above inhabits the first 3 phases since they're still Ra'ui, but it stops before Malchut since she's not Ra'ui. Since Malchut is not fit, the Kav does not inhabit the Malchut of the Malchut HaMetzumtzemet, but rather it inhabits the first 3 phases, which refers to Bechinat Keter through Yesod of the Malchut HaMetzumtzemet. The first 9 Sefirot of the Malchut HaMetzumtzemet are Ra'ui to receive the Kav from Ein Sof. Now, who pulls this Kav? It was the Malchut. It was the Malchut of the Malchut HaMetzumtzemet. The 4th phase of the Nekudam Sayit, upon which the Tzimtzum occurred. It was the very aspect that was contracted that pulls the Kav from above, but she herself is not fit to receive the Kav. For which reason she does not receive the Kav, but the first 3 phases, being the first 9 Sefirot, do receive the light. So, the Malchut HaMetzumtzemet has 10 Sefirot. The 10th Sefirah, which is Malchut, within this Partzuf, within the Malchut HaMetzumtzemet, is not fitting to receive the light, but yet she's the one who pulls the light. For whom does she pull this light? For whom does this line get extended? for the sake of the first three phases, which are Keter Chochma Bina, Chesed Gevura Tiferet, Netzach Hod, and Yesod, which are still Ra'ui, still fitting to receive the light. But does she receive the light? No. The Kav stops before Malchut, before it's able to enter Malchut, because she's not Ra'ui. This is a law of spirituality, that Malchut is not allowed, is not permitted to receive the light of Ein Sof. Not because she's being punished. It's not a punishment upon the Malchut. Rather, she chose on her own choice, on her own free will, to perform the contraction in order to facilitate the creation. In a way, it was a form of sacrifice. She sacrificed her own desire, which was her greatest desire, the Malchut of the Bechinat Dalid. It's the Gadlut Kabbalah, the highest possible level of desire. Hishtokakut, it's called yearning or longing. She sacrificed that. She sacrificed her greatest desire for the sake of allowing for creation to occur, wherein which the Kav extends from the Ein Sof to create Keter of Adam Kadmon, Chochma of Adam Kadmon, so on until Yesod of Adam Kadmon. And then, that's where I'm going to pause for now, because there's a lot more that happens next, because soon we're going to have to learn how we get to Atzilut. But before we get to Atzilut, there's a whole lot of information, whole lot of details that we need to first recognize that occurs between Adam Kadmon and Atzilut. And for that, we're going to be here a long time. We're not going to get to Atzilut until a long time. So this gives you a better idea of what we're learning here. We're learning the details of how God created the world. The logical flow that God used in order to create the world. The sequence of events that unfolded in the beginning stages of creation. First, there was the light of Ein Sof. Then there was the contraction to give space for creation. And inside of this space, there's the potential for the worlds to exist. And the line that comes from Ein Sof incrementally goes down, and each time it goes down, it descends further into the void. With each increment it goes down, it creates a new circle, a new circle, a new circle, corresponding to the Sefirot of Adam Kadmon. They're called Sefirot de Igulim. And this is where it gets more deeper and more detailed, and I'm not going to get into that right now. But we will be speaking about these concepts with greater detail in the coming episodes. So thank you so much for watching this video, and kudos to you for even sticking around to this part of the video to make sure you get every detail. Because if you miss one small nakuda, one small point, it could throw you off. So thank you so much for watching. Put your comments in the comment section below and any questions that you may have. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next video.